All right, line segments JK, KL, and LJ form triangle JKL as shown with dimensions in units. Segment KL is tangent to the circle, so as soon as I see a tangent, I know the tangent and a radius make a right angle. I'm going to mark that there. Segment LJ is a secant of the circle, so secant just means it goes on the outside and the inside. And segment JK is the diameter of the circle, so all the way through the center of the circle. What is the perimeter in units of the triangle JKL? So I can see that this whole side here is 9.6 plus the 5.4. So if I add those together, it's 15. And then we've got 9 going here, and then I need this missing side. So 15 is the C, we're going to call 9 the A, we're going to call this the B. So Pythagorean theorem, we're going to say A squared plus B squared equals C squared, 9 squared plus B squared equals 15 squared. So 81 plus B squared equals 225. And then we have to take away the 81 on both sides. So we have 144, and then we have to take the square root. So B is equal to 12. So that's solved for that side. We have to be really careful and go back and read our question. Anytime we have to type an answer in or pick a multiple choice, we always want to read our question again, because it says perimeter of the triangle. We didn't just want to stop at B. We have to get the perimeter of the whole thing. So remember, perimeter means I add up all the sides. So I'm adding up the 3 lengths, the 9, the 12, and the 15, and that gives me a total of 36. Next one, we have triangle WXY, and we have side lengths given. We notice there's a box here to tell us it's a right triangle. It says match each trig ratio to its value. So I want to make sure I pop back to my reference sheet so I don't get anything confused. And I see that cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and I see that tangent is opposite over adjacent. So that's going to help me out. Okay, I want to do cosine of x. So I'm focusing on this angle right here. No matter what angle I'm looking at, I know that 17 is my hypotenuse. So 17 has to go in the denominator. And then I need adjacent to x. So if I'm looking at x, this 15 is adjacent because it is touching the x. It's the leg that's touching the x. So I know that this is supposed to be 15 over 17. Okay. Then I want to focus on the tangent of W. I'm changing the angle that I'm focusing on. I'm going to use a different color. Focusing on this angle. The hypotenuse stays the same. That does not change. This side that's touching the angle is the adjacent to W, and this side 15 is the opposite of W. So if I put opposite on top and adjacent on bottom, it's going to be 15 over 8. And then number 38, Maria has a circular pizza with a diameter of 12 inches. She cuts the pizza so that each slice has a central angle that measures 90 degrees. So let's draw a picture of what's happening here. Okay, we have a pizza. The diameter is 12. It says she cuts the pizza so that each slice has a central angle that's 90 degrees. So if I'm cutting this pizza up, I'm going to be cutting it just like this. So I have 90 degrees in all of these boxes. What is the area in square inches of each slice of pizza? So one slice of pizza is 1/4 of the circle. So if I'm doing area, I need to look at my reference sheet and focus on my area formula. So I go to the circle, I find the area formula. So I know that I'm going to write down here, the area is pi r squared, and I'm only doing 1/4 of it. Now in my picture up here, I knew the diameter was 12. We know that the radius is half the diameter, so our radius is 6. So when I fill this in, I'm filling in a 6 for the r. So again, you can use either calculator, it doesn't matter. It says we're doing in square inches, right? So I'm going to type in my calculator 1/4 pi times 6 to the second, and I get 28.27. So for this problem, it doesn't specifically tell me what to round to. Okay, when it doesn't specifically tell you what to round to, you get to pick and it'll take your answer. Okay, 28.27 would be acceptable, 28.3 would be acceptable. You could even round to 28 for this question because it didn't specifically say. Now, if you're somebody who's practiced keeping your answers in terms of pi, that means you leave pi in your answer. You'd have 1/4 of 36 pi, which means it's which means it's 9 pi. This would even accept 9 pi as an answer. So any of these would be acceptable answers for this problem. Number 39. Number 39 is another question where we have to draw something on the graph on the computer. It says Karina draws a figure on the coordinate plane and she rotates the figure around the x-axis. So this is our x-axis. So our axis of rotation is going this way, so I know that would have to go through the center of my shape. Use the connect line tool to create a possible figure that Karina could have drawn. So we could draw any type of rectangle as long as we leave a space between the x-axis to show this little hole here, right? Any type of rectangle like that would work.